What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Sports podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me for our 2025 Athletics podcast. They're no longer the Oakland Athletics. They're not the Sacramento Athletics. They're just the Athletics. Joining me is Luis Barranco. Luis, how you doing?
What's going on? Time to talk some athletic baseball today, baby. A team that in the past we have laughed about, jeered about, and for as much crap as we give like bad teams like Miami, and for them acting like the way they do, there's actually a vision here. Do you think so?
There's absolutely a vision. I think the hype train is slowly starting to build with this team. There were some bleak years, but they haven't been extremely bad for that long. It was really 2022, 2023 where they were bad. Last year they got a little bit better. They won 69 games last year. And we'll get to it later, but their over-under win total sits at 71.5 this season. So Vegas sees some more improvement along the way this year. They're moving to Sacramento, as we've talked on this podcast numerous times. They're playing in Sutter Health Park, the minor league team.
Let's talk about that. What do you think about Sutter Health Park? I mean, you've looked at pictures. This is something you can talk about more as an ex-player. You can talk about the dimensions and how you feel this park's going to play to a team like the Athletics and the visiting teams.
Yeah, I mean, I know they were talking about it being a little bit hitter friendly, but it's 330 to left, 403 to center, 325 and right. So it's not crazy. It's actually a little bit slightly smaller. It's smaller to right field than the Coliseum. Left field's the exact same. Center is 3 feet shorter. So it's not that different than the Coliseum. I think the weirdest thing for the players this year will be having the locker rooms in the outfield, and the players are going to have to come in from the outfield to the dugout every single game. So that's a weird thing. It's going to feel like it's a minor league stadium. It's going to be weird. Not that the Coliseum was immaculate in terms of facilities, but it'll be a little bit weird for these guys playing in the minor league stadium. Some people might think it's a better setup than what they have at the Coliseum. I don't think it's going to be as big a factor as people are kind of thinking. I mean, we saw the Blue Jays play in Buffalo for a year or two during the COVID era, and then now we have the Rays playing in the Yankee Spring Training Stadium, which will be the weirdest one, I think. Even though they arguably have better facilities than some of the stadiums we have, like the Coliseum used to be. But I don't think it's going to be as big a deal as people are hyping it up to be. I think it's actually a decent looking park. Attendance might be better than it was in Oakland the last year. Not saying anything against Oakland fans because they were amazing. It was more about the team and kind of the statement they were trying to make. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, 320, you said 325 and 325 to right, and what was it, 330 to left or something around that?
Yep, that's it.
I don't say that's going to lean really good for some pull hitters. If you were to pull the ball real well, not too far. So should be a lot of bombs out to that end. But let's go ahead and talk about the team, man. I'm very excited about some of these guys. Some of these guys are actually some of my personal favorites. I mean, you got right fielder Lawrence Butler, one of my personal favorites, lefty bat. Brent Rooker at DH, local product, which William will probably by the end of the podcast say that he's a local product and say that he's one of his favorites in the majors. Jake Day at center, another Williams' favorite players in this team. Shea Langoliers catching the ball. Tyler Soderstrom at first. Zach Geloff at second. Seth Brown in left. Gio Urshela at third base. And Jacob Wilson, another guy that William thinks highly of at shortstop. So this is pretty much Williams' defense league team for the year, guys. So if you're ever thinking about what team William is betting on or what team William hopes wins, that's not the Yankees. It's probably the A's. They also have a lot of former Yankees like Miguel Andujar, Luis Severino, Yeah. We got Severino, Spriggs, J.P. Sears, Osvaldo Bido, and Mitch Spence. Mason Miller closing games with Jose Leclerc setting up. A lot of Yankee products like Ken Waldenchuk and Luis Medina should be back sometime during the season. They're both coming back from Tommy John. But, hey, like I said, You're about to get 5 minutes of William just completely loving this team. So go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I'm high on this team. You know, I think there is the opportunity for this team to win, to push for 500. You know, there's a lot of hype out there saying that this team can compete for a wild card spot. I don't know if I'm quite there yet as we sit here in the preseason. I could see it happening. I see the blueprint happening. You know, they were basically forced to spend money this offseason in order to avoid a grievance from the PA. So they were active. They brought in Luis Severino, traded for Jeff Springs, signed Jose Leclerc. Dylan Flora was signed, and they brought in Gio Urshela back in December to pair with what I think is a pretty good lineup. Lawrence Butler had a really good season last year. His numbers the last 73 games of the season were pretty incredible. 302, 346, 597 slash line with a 943 OPS, 20 homers, 18 doubles, 2 triples, and 14 stolen bases over the final 73 games of the season. He said himself he wants to be an all-star this year. It's in his hometown of Atlanta. He also wants to improve his defense and win a Gold Glove. So he's setting lofty expectations for himself this season. I think that's rightfully so. Apparently, the A's and Butler are engaged in extension talks already, and he's not arbitration eligible until after the 2026 season. So I think that shows you how highly they think of him. They just re-upped Rooker for 4 or 5 years, got him paid. So they're spending money. You know, JJ Bleday, I'm always big on the Vanderbilt guys. And you know that I don't think that's a secret. He's back. They got him slotted in the 3-hole, and then you got Shea Langoliers, Tyler Soderstrom, 2 highly regarded prospects that are going to look to continue their success at the major league level. Zach Geloff, he wasn't as great last year as he was in 2023, but I still think pretty highly of him. And then you got Jacob Wilson, who kind of tore it up last year. I wasn't in on him heading into the draft in 2023, but apparently he added 15 pounds this offseason. Lived in Arizona and drove to Mesa 3 times a week to train under their strength and conditioning coach during the offseason, looking to gain muscle mass, which obviously he did, and improve some of his fast twitch movements, it says. So he spent a lot of time investing in himself in the offseason. He's only 23 this year. Still technically a prospect, I believe, so it'll be a rookie year for him. Look for him to have a good season. So there's a lot of young talent on this roster. The biggest question for me is, is the pitching going to be there? Like Luis Severino is still your number 1 guy. You have a great closer in Mason Miller, sure. And I like Leclerc as a setup guy. But you got to get there. Severino, Springs, Sears, like those guys are going to have to be really good if we're talking playoffs. And then B is, can these young guys continue their success? Like Lawrence Butler was great for the last 72 games or whatever. Can he do it for 162? That's the biggest question there. Can Brent Rooker, now that he's paid, he's still only 30, can he continue? Like he was great in 2023, followed it up with he's great in 2023, and then followed it up with a great 2024. Can he do it again in 2025 now that he's paid? The consistency is there for 2 years. Can he make it 3? Bleday, can he continue his success? Langoliers, Soderstrom, Geloff, all those guys. It's just a question of, can their young guys continue the trajectory that they're on, or do they kind of take a step back this year? But they're interesting, and they're going to be a .TV team for me for sure this season. I'm very interested in the A's.
There you got your 3 minutes of William just loving on the A's, like I said, There you go, boys and girls. So, yeah, I mean, I really like this team too. I like the talent. We also have to talk about their farm system. I mean, Nick Kurtz, first baseman, played at Wake Forest. I mean, he should be up really soon. And they got Jacob Wilson, and they got a lot of guys like knocking on the door that, hey, they can get it together, get 1 or 2 more starters, just proven MLB stars. Hey, maybe Marcus Stroman will be great on this team. If they want, do that. You put pair Stroman with Severino and Sears, I think this team could make some noise. Esther Ruiz running the bases, Miguel Andujar, tapping back into that, Miguel Andujar, Clint Frazier deal for him. I like this team a lot. Mark Kotsay is a pretty good manager. They're building something out there. And so, like I said, there's a clear plan to be good for the next couple of years and develop, and there's a clear plan of being good when they get to Vegas. DraftKings, not sponsored by DraftKings. Over-under is 71.5. They went 69 and 93. I'm going to personally take the over because I think a lot of these guys are going to get better. I think Jacob Wilson's going to be really good this year. I do think Zach Geloff will rebound, and I do like that they're also good defensively. Gio Urshela isn't a terrible third baseman. Very, very decent third baseman to have out there. So give me the over.
Yeah, they weren't even last in the division last year. That was the Angels. It looks to be a tough division, with the Rangers probably going to be back. The Angels maybe take a little bit of a step forward. I took their over. The Mariners pitching will keep them in games. Astros might take a step back. Like, it feels like a kind of open division. I think they're going to be able to pick up some wins in division. It's interesting last year, like looking at their stats, they had, by their standards, a better than expected season. And they only finished like 25th in average, 25th in OBP, 20 in OPS. They were 8th in home runs. Their home run hitting team led by Rooker. Starting pitching numbers weren't great. They were, 26th in ERA. Relievers were good. So, like, the numbers weren't great last year. I mean, they weren't a good team, but I expect them to take another step forward. So 71.5 feels kind of low. Like, if you look at the other teams that are kind of in their win range, and these are kind of the order we're doing the previews, like the Nationals, the Angels are the two, and I think they're probably better than both of those teams. I feel better about the A's than I do either of those teams. Not to step on the Nationals preview too much that we're going to do tomorrow. But yeah, I'm over. I feel pretty good about it. They didn't really lose anybody that important. Like Abraham Toro is gone, Ross Stripling's gone, Scott Alexander, Sean Newcomb, but and they brought in guys. And like you said, the farm system's pretty good with Nick Kurtz. I don't think he's going to be there this year. But like Denzel Clark, JT Ginn, Max Muncy, not that Max Muncy, different one. I think there's reasons for optimism this year. I think the only thing that could go wrong, obviously, is the young guys not panning out or just weird Sacramento vibes. And for whatever reason, first year, new stadium, something's off.
Yeah. That is the only thing that could do it. But I personally think a lot of these guys are going to step forward. I'm a big Lawrence Butler guy. He was on my fantasy team. I like him. And I like Jacob Wilson. I know it was a weird pick at the time that you kind of questioned, that we kind of were like, when he came up. But hey, he's been able to move up, good bat-to-ball skills. I mean, I think one of the biggest things, if you're a college guy with good bat-to-ball skills, there's a pretty low bust rate, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah.
There's still bust rate, but it's just like lower than drafting another guy like maybe an Andrew Jones, who has been slower developing at a high school, or just other types of players.
Yeah, I mean, me. I when I'm drafting, I would prefer the college guy. I'd rather a low floor, or sorry, a high floor, even if the ceiling's a little bit lower. I didn't understand the Jacob Wilson pick at the time. I think we talked about that at the plenty of times on this podcast, but it based on early returns, it seems like I was wrong. Fair enough. Still a long way to go. Yeah. Anything else on the A's? I mean, I feel like we've kind of hit on it. The main thing is the youth movement here. And they were forced to spend, but they did spend, and that's ultimately, hopefully, going to make the team better.
I am they're a .TV team for me, so I will be watching a lot of them. I like Lawrence Butler, the player. I like, as much as it pains me because Brent Rooker went to my rival high school, I do think he's a great ambassador of the game when it comes to great player and ambassador of the game. Definitely played his dues through the systems. And if you're on X, Twitter, make sure you guys follow him, because he does bring a lot of good insight and good intel to novice knowers of ball.
He really does. He's pretty active there. I saw he was at during the World Series. He was at Willie's, or one of the bars in New York near. I'm not well nuanced in the bars around Yankee Stadium because I don't live there. But he was at one of the bars, and like the people didn't recognize him, and he bought them all beers or something. He's a good follow, and then he'll do like at-bat breakdowns. He's good.
I kind of wish, I know the news is out that ESPN's will not renew they're not renewing, the MLB's not renewing their contract. I kind of hope one of the big networks kind of like for playoff coverage gets Brent Rooker on the mic because I kind of feel like he'll be really good on the mic, just talking game, talking ball.
Agreed. If he's not playing,
of course, like All-Star or just in general, like All-Star game coverage where they kind of have like them come in do media or just like in the playoffs.
We should try to get him on. I don't think it's possible, but hey, you never know. Yeah, I did play against his because he's a little bit older than me. Played against his younger brother in high school. Memphis product.
He's 2 years older, right?
Yeah, so he's 30. So I mean, I don't know what grade he was in, but
2014. Well, what years did he go to state? Because I know he went to Mississippi State.
Yeah, he went to Mississippi State. See, so he was there for what, 3 years or 4?
See, he was 14, so he graduated 13. So 3 years older than us. So he would have been 2013.
It looked like he went. What's Plymouth? It looks like he went to, or that was Cape Cod League.
And I have it right here. He went to Mississippi State, redshirted 2014 season. So he was class of 2013. So we were a freshman and he was a senior.
Yeah, he was there 3 seasons.
Yeah.
What year did they win the champion? He wasn't on the national championship team, was he?
He was no. He was SEC Player of the Year and College National Baseball Player of the Year in 2017.
He was the National Player of the Year? Holy moly, I didn't realize that.
Collegiate Baseball National Player of the Year. It's of the publication. And he was SEC Player of the Year. Hit 387, 23 home runs, and 82 RBIs. Winning the only second Triple Crown in SEC history. Holy crap.
Yeah, he had a 1.3 OPS that season. Yeah. And I mean, he's doing it at the big league level too.
He was traded. Wow, this is a trade. Twins traded him and Taylor Rogers in cash for Paddock, Pagan, and a player to be named later.
Yeah, it wasn't really working out because he was on the Twins.
And then he played in Kansas City too.
San Diego too.
Hey, congrats to him for getting the bag. Hey, maybe Captain GM Judge gets him on for WBC.
He was traded twice. He got, like you said, he was traded by the Twins to the Padres, which, I mean, pretty good return if you're at the time. Chris Paddock, Emilio Pagan, like that's
both ways too. Both ways.
Yeah.
I feel like Taylor Rogers.
And then you got 2022. He was traded by the Padres to the Royals for Cam Gallagher, who is now on the Guardians. So, and he hasn't played. He didn't play last year. I don't even know if he's still playing. So he won that. The A's won that trade. And then he was selected off waivers by the A's. He was a waiver wire claim November 17th, 2022. Wow.
Hey, congrats to him.
Congrats. Yeah, that's, I mean, for a highly touted college guy, where was he drafted?
35th to Minnesota.
30. Oh, originally the 38th round out of high school and then 35th overall. Yeah. Wow. I mean, interesting career path. I mean, that shows you, man.
That shows you why he's buying beers. Like, such a good guy. He's very humble, man. Very, very humble. Stay humble. Unlike Erling Haaland, but
all right, we're both over on the A's. The optimism is finally there for this organization. Hopefully, the youth movement continues and they see some success this year. I don't know if Oakland fans are going to be rooting for them. Kind of a weird relationship there now, but I think they're going to be decent. So, any final thoughts?
I'm actually excited with Oakland baseball. And they got those uniforms, those green and yellow uniforms. Let's go.
They brought back the gold ones too this year for the first time in a while. I think 6 seasons.
You know what was my first ever athletics team I ever played for, like ever as a child?
You played for?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, I played what sport and what was the team name?
Soccer?
No.
Basketball.
T-ball. And the team name was the Athletics. You should know this. You've seen the picture at my house.
It's been a long time.
I have that picture that Armand always gives me crap. Like, oh, yeah, look at him in the Athletics gear. And I still have the A's, like, hat, like, when I was a kid. I was, like, 5 years old.
So you're biased A's fan here.
Yeah, I mean, let's go A's, baby.
All right. That's all we got for the A's. We're both excited. Coming up tomorrow is the Washington Nationals. And then after that, on Sunday, is the St. Louis Cardinals, bringing on a special guest for that one. So stay tuned. Hope you guys are enjoying the preview so far. Hope you enjoyed this one. Please like, rate, review, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your episodes. And we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, we'll catch you next time. Peace out.